Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of
Your Favorite Aunties Podcast.
Now, we had to pop in super quick and just let you know, if you didn't know already, the aunties are going on tour.
Yes.
So excited. We're going to be in DC in May, New York City in June, and Dallas in July.
If you haven't already been to one of our live shows, you don't want to miss this, okay? We always have a great time. We have a great key, and we're real, we're relatable. And seeing us in real time, you're not going to want to miss that. We get to make sure that we get an interaction with you, and we're talking, we're having a conversations, a good key. You know how we do it, and you don't want to miss that.
Absolutely. So make sure you get your tickets. Remember, you do need your general admission ticket, but also get that meet and greet. You know you want to come meet us, take pictures, make videos, dance, laugh. It's just a really, really good time. So make sure you go to yourfavoriteaunties.com and get your tickets today.
What's up, you guys? And welcome back to another episode of Your Favorite Aunties Podcast. Nia, I am so excited about this episode. Really, really excited.
I am too. It is our first time having a couple on, and we have an amazing couple, Pastors James and Tiffaney Edwards. Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to come here.
We are so excited because we talk about relationships a lot. We are faith-based, and we talk about dating, relationships, and our audience wants to know more. So we're excited to have a married couple tell us all the things through the whole range, because we can talk about dating, but we're not married. So y'all can come from a whole new perspective. So we're excited
married couple.
There we go.
Absolutely happily.
There we go. Emphasis there.
Absolutely happily.
Yeah, so we want to hear about it. So before we get started, can you just tell the audience a little bit more about you all and your story?
You want to go first?
Start.
Oh, well, I'm Tiffaney. I am 45 years old, and I met my husband online. And so I had been going through, my background's a little different. This is my second marriage. Got married really young when I was in my 20s, failed miserably at it. God took me on this 7-year journey just with me and him. And then after 7 years, that was in 2007, went through something traumatic. 2014, put myself back out there and met my husband. And we've been together. We'll be married for 9 years, actually March the 25th. And we will have been together for 11 years and happily married.
Yes.
Healthy marriage.
Okay.
Very much so. Very healthy. I don't often look at people celebrate the years of marriage, which is beautiful, the endurance, the longevity. But I really can say that for these past 11 years, even from dating to marriage, it's been very healthy. It's been very happy. It's been very peaceful. It's been good. Now, hopefully you agree with me.
Yeah,
What's your testimony? Come on.
Yeah, it's been great. Everything has been good. And I'm James. I'm 46 years old. I'm from Florence, Alabama. My story is quite outlandish, so to speak. I did time in federal prison. Did 8 years in federal prison for drug trafficking, and had an encounter with God in prison, and got out of prison in 2011. And God started opening up crazy doors for me, motivational speaking, so to speak. Got an opportunity to step into pharmaceutical sales based off straight up grace.
Legit sales.
Legit pharmaceutical sales. And through pharmaceutical sales, I got an opportunity to come to Houston through the job, 214. And got here, and it didn't work out like I thought it was. And I met Tiffaney, and probably like a year and a half later, 19 months later, started the church. And
we got married.
Started the church. And 9 years later, we're producing fruit.
Yes.
I know that's right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
awesome.
And so, but like she was saying, our backgrounds are so different.
They're so different.
Yeah, north and south, east and west.
Yeah.
I've grown up, my
the
parents.
rainforest and the desert.
Yeah.
Well, I ain't going to be the desert.
Okay, I was about to say this too.
Yeah, I'm the desert.
But
I
no,
was the desert.
my parents have been married for 50 years. I wasn't born here, but I consider myself a Houstonian because I've been here majority of all my life, since middle school, elementary school. So my parents have been married for a long time and went to college here, graduated, been living here. And so I meet this man who, when I first talked to him on the phone, he says he doesn't tell me much about himself, but our conversation was like, I can't describe it. It was something internally, like I knew that it was just different. And so we started talking about so many like spiritual things and like what my life goals were and vice versa with him. And then when we got off the phone, he says, I want you to do something after this conversation. I'm like, what's that? He says, I want you to Google me. I Google him and then I see the news articles and I find out about everything that happened when he was in Alabama. And the next day he said, did you Google me? I said, yeah. He said, how do you feel about it? I said, I feel okay. Let's just see where it goes because I knew it was something different. But you know how it is, no disrespect. When people go to prison, everybody finds Jesus. They're trying to find something to hold on to. And so I just said, I'm going to take him for his word. But after a while, you cannot fake discipline. That's one thing that I've learned. His life was so disciplined. His interaction, his prayer time, the way he would get off the phone and be like, I got to call you back because I got to finish this chapter of this book that I'm reading, or just his prayer life, his calmness. I knew that it was something different. Like I knew just wasn't a jailhouse religion. And from there, it was just like I became open, vulnerable, and wanted to see where it would go. And the rest is history.
Yeah, it went well, huh?
Yeah, it did go well.
So where were y'all? Y'all were both saved when you met.
Yes. Well, yes.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes. Okay,
Yeah.
I was definitely saved, but I was thinking about it. My life where I am now, I grew up, I was a Baptist girl. I am the daughter of a retired pastor. My dad's actually a part of our ministry now. I was the most lukewarm level of a Christian that you can imagine. I was the girl that would go to church, make sure that I didn't cry too much because I needed to get to brunch. I needed to get to my bottomless mimosas. And so that was where I was. I was the type of girl that I loved. I said, I would say I got a relationship with God, and I was a bedside Baptist. And so I know that I was saved because I knew that I knew the Lord is my Savior. I believed in Him dying and resurrecting on the cross, but my lifestyle was a poor witness. And so when I met my husband, I had never met a man that loved God more than he loved me. And so when I met him, there were things in his life and his relationship with God that made me want to tighten up in my relationship with God.
Okay.
It was just one of those things where, yeah, I was saved, but I had finally met somebody that challenged me on, if you believe what you say you believe, why doesn't your daily life truly reflect it? Not that I was a bad person, wasn't at all. But if you wanted to know Jesus at the time of my life, you probably would not have asked me because I was probably looking like culture, talking like culture, living like culture, but I was proclaiming the name of Jesus. But my husband just tightened. Well, you weren't even my husband there. Your discipline and your lifestyle it sharpened me in some areas where I needed to be sharpened.
That's good.
That's really good.
So did you, I don't want to say intentionally do that, but did you see that in your wife, and did it make you want to stand up even more, or you were just, no, I was just still myself?
No, I'm thoroughly convinced and fully persuaded
I
that
know that's right.
when you have purpose, you have gifts, you have a direction, you have a relationship with God, it's either you're going to infect or effect a place or an environment or a person. And so I knew what was on me. I knew that whoever was around me, it was going to be very, very infectious. And so therefore I knew all I had to do was just be me. And the grace and the anointing that's on me will begin to travel to whoever it is. And they got to make a decision quick. Do I really, really want this? Or do I, do I need to quit playing?
Yeah.
Or do I really, really want to dive into this, or do I want to get away from this? Yeah. It's like when the Spirit of God is on a person seriously, it's either it's gonna drive you or draw you. Drive you away or draw you to him. And so therefore I knew that men are meant to be cultivators. We are meant to be providers, protectors, leaders, and visionaries. So therefore I knew that if she was going to be with me, that my assignment was to bring the best out of her. And my assignment was to change her. It never crossed my mind that she would be able to change me as it pertains to spirituality and belief systems.
Correct.
That's good. That's good.
And you never, as I'm hearing you talk, he never forced anything on me.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah.
He never did. It was never a matter of you need to do this or you need to do that. I think I was just introduced to something. I really believe with women, whomever we join ourselves to, we become their helpmeet. And when you join yourself to that person, you start becoming more like them. So you can see some women that may be very spiritual. Well, we see this often. Women that are on this great track walking with God, and then we'll meet the man that they're dating, and we can see that this man is like far off, just something different. And slowly but surely, I can start seeing that woman pull away. And it's either really, literally, when you're becoming, if you're speaking of marriage and the two becoming one, usually you start picking up on their habits if their habits are stronger than what your habits are. So if I'm weak in an area and somebody is more strong in their flesh or more strong in culture, and I'm coming to the equation and I'm kind of like trying to figure it out, I'm lukewarm, I'm going to gravitate to what that person is doing. And I think that's really what it was. I started gravitating
Yeah.
more to the positive qualities.
Without
in
a
you.
shadow of a doubt, I believe, and I could take you biblical with this, but I believe that the intuition of a woman is known to recognize value. But I also know that the emotional side of a woman is known to grab a hold to potential. So
Yes, sir.
those are two different dimensions.
That's good right there.
Right? The intuition is your spirit.
Yeah.
The spirit of a woman is sensible to be able to recognize valuable instantaneously, right? But when she hadn't sharpened her intuitions and her spiritual side to such of a degree, she don't know how to distinguish between the emotional and the intuition. The intuition, what will take place is the emotional side of her will run behind potential and the possibility of what could be. But instincts will be saying it's something greater than this.
Right.
It's something valuable in this. And so when instincts begin to take over and you know how to, and not saying that emotions not going to get in it because they are, but when the instincts are leading, then instincts are going to lead you towards value because we are three-part being, spirit, soul, and body. And so the spirit part of us, when we are saved or born again, the Holy Spirit is in us. The woman's intuition is sharp, extremely sharp, to be able to recognize value, right? But then you being trained by this, then you know that it's something greater. You can't put your finger on it. You know, and it's a difference between the emotional, I want something to be greater, but then at the same time, you know something is greater.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that's
different
good.
words.
Yeah.
That's really good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on too, just practically, a lot of our listeners are single
Okay.
and they desire
Yeah, for sure.
marriage.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so we like to talk about the practical side of things because we go to church, we've been saved for
For
a
sure.
long time. And sometimes I feel like we can over spiritualize this whole dating process
Without a shadow of a
and
doubt.
all of that. So what should our listeners be looking for, those who desire marriage as they're dating? What are some things they should look for in a man or for our male listeners in a woman when it comes to a great partner, husband, wife?
This may sound very simple, but is the relationship peaceful? That is just when that person is around, do they bring in a bunch of peace or do they bring in a bunch of chaos?
That's good.
Are you always there trying to pick up the broken pieces or trying to it's nothing wrong with affirming someone that you're with, but you want to be with someone who knows who they are. You don't want to bring on someone and then you're carrying the baggage because you are meeting someone and maybe they're at a place where they are still needing to do some internal work. And so now you find yourself not really able to concentrate on building a relationship because it's two people still trying to build individually. So I would really say that would be my first thing. Is it peaceful? Have they done enough individually in their lives that they're able to come and able to bring something to the table? I know so many women that are dating, and it's the courtship, the dating part is so rocky, but they're ready for marriage. And I'm thinking, like, if you're having these problems dating, what do you think the marriage is going to be like? It's going to be even harder. So that would be my first thing. I would say peace.
Yeah. I think I was going to say one thing, but you made a statement a while ago that blew me up. I'm big on growth, right? But the truth of the matter is everybody don't want growth. People say they want growth, but everybody don't want growth. Remember when you said we got to stop thinking that everybody's signing up for growth?
Yeah.
Everybody's not signing up for growth.
So you're saying when you're dating somebody.
So I'm saying I was about to say, let me put it like this. If you are signing up for growth, I believe that you need to know what you want. You need to know where you're going. You need to know who you are. If you know what you want, if you know who you are, if you know where you're going, then since you are signing up for growth, now you know that the purpose of a relationship is for your partner to bring the best out of you.
Right.
So now that I know that, now the question is this. Can they challenge you? Can they teach you? Do you trust them to lead you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just that simple.
Okay.
So if they can challenge me, then this means that they know something at a level that I don't know it at. And so now they can challenge me to stretch my capacity.
Right.
Can they teach me? Yeah, am I teachable? Because if I'm not teachable as a man, then I can't be challenged or taught.
Yeah.
Right? But I say I want growth.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when God put two people together, he put two assets together.
Mm-hmm.
Not an asset or a
Liability?
liability.
Not
Come
not
on.
liability.
I need an asset.
Yeah.
Come
You
on.
get two assets.
Yeah.
And so two assets add value.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
that's
I add
good.
value to you, you add value to me.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the challenging and teaching is okay. Right? So because it's an asset. Now the question becomes, in a different area, do you trust them to lead you?
Especially, this is for women.
It's for men too.
But I'm saying, but it really also for a woman, because you can have a woman that's a leader and it can be very much friction if she feels like she has to lead because she doesn't trust him to lead.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you start talking about that, then you start talking about knowing how to flow characteristically. Like she's a type A, I'm a type A. I know that my assignment is sacrifice, hers is submission. So you got to find, two people got to find the flow, because relationships are about a flow. It's about an ebb and a flow.
Yeah.
You got me? And so if you signing up for growth, I think you don't have to over spiritualize it. If you signing up for growth, I know who I am. I know what I want. I know where I'm going. And so now I know, can they teach me? Can they challenge me? Can I trust them to lead me?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So no, it is. I'm just,
Teach the
I'm like, hold
people.
Can somebody write some notes?
Right?
So really quickly, and because I do absolutely kind of want to get back to this segment
That's
of the
fine.
conversation, but I want to talk about when you all met each other, because you said you met online.
Yeah.
What was that like? And then whenever, on top of that, what was that like? And then whenever you all got together, was it intentionality from day one? Or was it like I just want to see if we like the same movies real quick,
Right.
before you get into like the nitty gritty? Because I know sometimes Nia would get on me, like in the beginning of my dating, phases or what have you, where I'd be like, okay, what you want?
Right.
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what's going on.
Yeah.
So she had to be like, friend, do you even want to go to the movie?
Hello.
with this
Do you
person?
like him?
Like, it's okay to want to know to call a guy, but
Right.
also, like, does he like brunch? Does he like dinner? You know what I mean?
Right.
So when you all met online, how was that, and what was that like? And then what happened after that?
Go ahead.
So I had a really great experience online. James was the third person that I went out on the date with, and then he just kind of shut it down. I went and shut my page down after I met him.
I know that's right.
So it was a dating app?
It was a dating app.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
a dating app that we met on, and this was 11 years ago. And I'm being honest, I met him when I was 34. We got married at 36, so
Yeah.
I was already like kind of, I was in my mid 30s.
Yeah.
I was dating with intentions. I've always known that I was supposed to be a wife. I just knew that. So I was looking for someone. I was not into like casual dating. Like, yes, we can go to brunch, we can go to dinner, we can kind of see, but I needed to have some chemistry. I wanted to know if it was somebody that I was going to build with. So we went on one date, and we've been together since. We went on a date and went to dinner and went and danced at the park, and had a good time that night. And then we were together ever since. He never made me wonder about my place in his life. When we first started, I tell a funny story where let me back up a little. Maybe I don't want to say never. When I first met him, I met him, and it was like, how you meet somebody and we're talking every single day, all day. Like, we're having great conversations. We're hanging out all the time. Then one day we go to brunch. And so the dating app, I know what it's like when your phone, it pings. So he gets up, and for some reason he leaves his phone at the table. And his phone is just like, I can hear it just going off. And I'm looking like, well, wait a second. I'm with him. That's that dating app ping. I know how that sounds.
What you keep looking for?
Because we're sitting, that was our date. We went to church and then we went to brunch. And so the phone keeps going off. And then finally I asked him, and I realized he is still entertaining and talking to women, because we have now been dating for maybe 2 or 3 months. It's never been set in stone that this is what, that we're official. But because we're spending so much time together, I make the assumption that we are. But when I found out, I was not afraid to walk away and be done.
Now you said, okay.
Listen,
No, friend.
I be trying to tell her, but
She says that.
let it
Okay,
tell
you're
the
right.
story.
You're right.
No,
you're right.
So at that point, I realized I'm ready for something serious.
Yeah.
We're hanging out. Obviously, you're not. So with that being said, I appreciate the time that we've been hanging out. Let me go ahead and cut it off now so that I don't continue to get deeper. I was not afraid. I don't want to, because this could come across wrong. I liked him a lot, but I loved myself enough that I was
Mhm.
not going to sit around and wait for somebody to decide if I was it or not.
That's good.
So, but
Mhm.
this was the beautiful part. Because I was willing to cut him off, that was the drive to make him say, let me shut all this down. Like,
Mhm.
this is it. Like, I take that back. Like, whatever I had going on, I'll come off the dating app right now. I think sometimes with women, we don't I don't want to say put our foot down, but you got to have a standard. I had like
Yeah.
a standard and a real boundary. Like, this is what I want. This is where I thought we were going. Obviously, you're still a little bit confused. So I'm out. And it wasn't even
Mhm.
like, I'm out. Let me know when you get ready. It's like, no, I'm out.
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm
Stand
out.
on business.
Yeah. Standing on business. And that quickly after that, that was a real major turn in our relationship. After that, that was it.
So did you communicate that, or you just let that be what it is? Like, oh, okay, I've collected this data. I'm going to govern myself accordingly.
So if you haven't noticed, I believe I'm very outspoken.
Uh-huh.
No, I definitely communicated that. I
Okay.
was done. I communicated it right there at the table. Like,
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, that's
but,
right.
but let me help y'all though. For some people, no, not to take away from
Uh-huh.
anything she's saying, just to add to it. For some people, you don't need to communicate.
Mm.
For some people, you need to demonstrate.
or you can do
Right.
both.
I can
You
show
you can
you
convince.
better than I can tell
I
you.
will leave.
Yeah, because some people think you playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people think in their mind, whatever, we'll see. You know,
Yeah.
like they think they got you like that.
Mm.
And so if you tell them, that's kind of like giving them fuel to keep mashing the gas on what they doing.
You know, I've never asked you this before. What made you, when I said that I was done, what made you in that moment say, let me get it together now?
Because I knew. It's like, you know, when you know truth, you don't want to keep flirting with a lie.
So you think at the time
So, yeah.
immaturity was just something that was
absolutely.
still...
It was just like, you know, at the time I didn't know if, I didn't know if you was going to be tripping or whatever. So, yeah,
You're trying to keep your options open.
I'm just flowing.
Yeah.
Flowing in the way I flow.
Okay.
And at the time we single, so we flowing.
Mhm.
And then when she's like, no, this ain't it, I'm out. I'm like, well, maybe time to stop.
Hit it with the
Yeah. But serious business though, I'm just, because we were both mature too.
Yeah,
we were.
Because when I really tapped into
Yeah.
my assignment and what I was put on the earth to do and my vow I had made to God, maturity instantly kicks in. And when it kicked in, I knew it wasn't time for no game no more.
Mhm.
Yeah. But when you're dealing with immaturity, I'm telling you, conversation is not going to get it. Demonstration is.
Mhm.
So when you pick up on immature ways, immature conversation, immature characteristics, you got to be putting a pin in it. You got to be putting at it. You got to be taking data and saying, this is an immature situation right here. You might have an immature mindset, so I need to handle you accordingly.
Mhm.
You handle immaturity with mature decisions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
good.
This is, I hope you guys are taking notes.
It's so good.
I'm gonna go back and
Yeah.
watch the episode. Okay, so she said,
Right. That's what I need to look for.
I just don't think women should be afraid. The Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing, and he finds favor with the Lord.
Mhm.
Women, we are walking favor. And if we can't realize that we're someone's favor, we will always put ourselves in a position to kind of accept things that we know that's not what our hearts desire. You cannot be afraid to shut the door on something, because God's not going to withhold something someone that's supposed to be in your life. But you
Right.
do have to know how to say, like, okay, enough is enough.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's good.
So how did you know that he was your husband, she was your wife? Because we're out here dating,
Right.
right? We're saying we heard the God told me you're my wife. We've heard all the things, but how do you know for sure? Or do you know for sure?
I'm going to be very, very honest. God never told me that he was my husband.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that I had been walking with God so long that even in my immature and in my lukewarm stage and trying to even figure out my relationship with him, I came and I presented to him what I wanted. And I had a real peace about it. Like, God, I've met this man. So I'm a girl, I journal a lot. And I have entries where I would literally write letters to God. And so it wasn't in the moment like it was like God said, but he had every single thing that maybe I also had written a list of what I wanted in a man. And at the top of the list, my number one thing that I said, I wanted a man that I admired. And when I met him, his life story was just like mind blowing. I admired him so much. Once again, he exuded peace. I'll keep saying peace. It was like I knew what I wanted and I presented it to God. And I'm like, God, will you bless this? And the way God blesses things, we often are thinking, yes, you can actually hear the voice of God, but he also can show up and really give you peace about a situation. And there was no shadow of a doubt, like even on our wedding day, I was never worried or wondering if I made the right decision. I think I had been through enough trauma and enough drama in past relationships, and he was the exact opposite. It wasn't like I was continuing on with the pattern of the same type of guy that I had dealt with before. He was very, very different. And the difference was made me think like, okay, Tiffaney, you're making a better decision this time.
How did you, I feel like you just kind of answered this, but just even in a more practical way, how did you begin to trust him? Did you have like trust issues when you met him, or were you already in a more healed place to where it's like, okay, I can, be open to trusting, or was it like
to be honest, I thought I was super healed. You don't know how healed you are until your healing has to be tested. When you can say that you're healed when you're all by yourself, but you don't really know how healed you are, or if you really can trust until you can get into a situation where you have to trust. And so one of the things that I did, I was very, very honest with James, and he knew about my background and how I had dealt with a lot of infidelity in a prior relationship. And I told him the areas that made me still be a little nervous. And what he did, he nurtured those things that he thought that would maybe make me feel uncomfortable. So it was things like in our relationship, because he knew that trust issues were a problem for me. Automatically, since I've known him, I've had the password to his phone. Not that I've ever needed to go through his phone, but because he knew that there was some things, it was almost like, Tiffaney, show me your weaknesses and let me show you how I'm going to make sure that you feel strong in this area. So because he knew that infidelity or not or having issues with trust, he did things like that, or just like calling and checking in on me, or just like, hey babe, I'm gonna be such and such a place. He did certain things to help me, even though I thought that I was completely healed as a single woman. When I got with him, he furthered, if that makes any sense, he further advanced my healing process, because you don't really know how healed you are until you get in a relationship with someone and you have to really see, like, am I really healed?
No, that's very good. I know oftentimes singles are pushed to do all of this work while they're single, and you can, but there's some on the job training
Absolutely.
that like you won't know until you know that you don't know, or that you don't have it. So it feels good to hear you say that.
Oh, y'all, like I was just telling them this past Sunday at church, I was so used to dysfunction and being combative and arguing in relationships. We don't argue a lot, but when our first year of marriage, we got into the worst argument that we had ever gotten into. And his response was, he got up and left. And I'm thinking like, Lord. So I didn't realize that I still had some abandonment issues. And I'm like, God, what do you mean? So it's on Thanksgiving Day. He gets up and he just leaves. I've already painted this picture in my mind, because even though you're healed, when you are still healing, a residue is left behind. There was some residue of the pain. And so when he left, that triggered me. I immediately thought, okay, he's not going to come with me to my parents' house for Thanksgiving. He's not going to come home tonight. My mind just then went off on the deep end. It has, because once again, I'm thinking I'm healed, but I don't really know until I'm tested by it. 15 minutes later, he comes back in the house and he's like, all right, babe, I'm about to get in the shower. I'm about to get dressed. We're about to go to your parents' house. And I'm just sitting there looking, because I didn't texted him. I didn't blew his phone up, told him all kind of crazy stuff. And it wasn't even that he wasn't coming back. It was just in the moment. He said, I left because I needed to breathe. And so that's when I learned at that moment. I didn't tell him that. I'm like, wow, Tiff, you still have a journey, that you still have some areas where you're still triggered by some things. So I think healing is a lifelong journey.
Right. That's good.
Yeah. I still wanted to get your response. How did you know?
Okay, got you. Y'all had dove all the way in. I think for me, I think two things let me know. Number one, for the first time in my life, I had met a woman to when I knew that when she started talking, it was time for me to be quiet.
Mm.
Had never met, not saying that they're not out there or nothing like that, but I just wasn't fortunate enough to meet another woman that I felt like could teach me or could grow me or could challenge me or could lead me in certain areas. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt that those days would come. And so when she started talking about certain things, the wisdom that came along with it, it let me know, Bean, you got to shut up because you're not gonna always be the teacher. You gotta absolutely take pride in sometimes being a student. And that's hard for men, right? But I know and the second thing I knew besides that is I knew she was a team player. And so when you start talking about marriage and relationships, you're talking about a team, right? Everybody can't play the point guard, right? Because if we got 2 point guards, man, there's only one ball. You see what I'm saying? Somebody got to play the off guard. If I was talking about football, everybody can't be the quarterback. Somebody got to be the wide receiver. Somebody got to be the quarterback. Right. You got me, the quarterback throws the ball to the wide receiver catch it. We both can't have the ball to throw the ball.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you got to ask yourself a question. If you're trying to win the game, what type of teammate you want?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so if I could take it to basketball again right now, Steph Curry was having the worst season of all time this year. We didn't know if he was going to make it to the playoffs. They made a trade right at the trade deadline. They got Jimmy Butler. They got another superstar, right? They got another superstar that has not Steph got the shooting. Steph is the point guard. But this guy here is the other dude that do everything Steph don't do. Now you know what they saying. The Warriors are headed to the championship. Right. And so the revelation is you got to have somebody where you weak, he's strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got me? You got to have somebody that understand the value of team. You got to understand you got to have somebody that know that we're not competing against each other. We are completing the assignment that's on our lives for marriage.
Yeah.
So that's how I knew.
That's good.
I just need a note. Okay. This is so good to me. I'm so thankful that we get to sit down and have a conversation with two healthy people, two people who are God-driven, two people who desire to be healthy and whole and happy.
Yes.
That's what wholeness produce. Happiness and joy.
Yes.
Peace. Strength.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to be healed, it's another thing to be whole.
My
Them two
God.
different worlds.
Yes.
That's
good.
Right? And we're trying to do relationships and marriage from healed spots. We need to do them from whole places. And it's possible.
Yes.
Yeah, it's possible.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Since you all, have found love with each other, things are going well, the church is thriving. What have you implemented for the single people around you? If you have at all, this is a safe space.
Yeah, right.
It's time.
The reason why I'm asking is because sometimes a lot of us who are still single, especially single in the church, we feel like there's no place for us outside of the work in the church.
Or singles ministry.
And it's like, where is the real development or the real, let's get you married help?
Yeah.
Because it's like you get married and it's like y'all just for each other. Like, hey, you don't have no friends. There's no
Help
man
us.
and or woman you can vouch for.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I'm asking you that is if it wasn't already a thought, maybe it could be one. Like, what can we do?
Because we have a lot of single women in the church and single men. We have a lot. And it's finding also, it's like Pastor James and I, we can talk about it. I can remember when I was single, but it's almost like sometimes when you're hearing the advice from a married woman, it's just like, but after you leave from here, Tiffaney, you going home with your husband. I'm going home by myself. So
now say that because that's the truth.
Absolutely.
That's the truth.
Yeah. Our ministry in our church built on truth.
Yeah.
Not doing church.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we hit issues like this.
Yeah.
We're a cutting edge type of ministry. And I say this, and I'm glad you said that in front of everybody. And I'm gonna say this in front of everybody. I'm serious when I say this. I'm going to challenge you to help teach me how to create this.
Yeah.
Because we want to create this type of environment that it is healthy. We can't guarantee anything.
Right.
Right.
Results may
Because-
vary.
Right.
Yeah,
Not
like,
guaranteed.
we can always create the space and the place for people to come together to potentially make the selections, but we can't dictate or determine what's good for who and what's not, what's immature, what's mature. But at the same time, I don't want us to be building something where it feels like y'all just said, the only place for me is the singles ministry. The only place
or just
for this.
to work in the
Like,
church.
I'm serious
Mhm.
when I say that. Thank you for asking that question. But I promise you, our relationship is not over because I'm serious. I'm gonna be calling on you
Yeah.
to like, what does this look like in an operative way that it can be very, very attractive to a single man and a single woman.
And it can be healthy
And it
too.
can be healthy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You have a lot of single ministries that are headed by married couples. You know, it's just kind of like
I think it's big. What she's saying is bigger than single ministry.
but
Yeah.
I think it would really be great to have a really healthy single person to really implement. Like these are the type of things because times are changing so
Yeah.
fast. Like where I had to get on a dating app over 10 years ago, now it's all on
Totally
social
different.
media.
Yeah.
It's just it's so different now, and so it's a different world.
Yeah, and so the one thing too, the reason why we have our first service at 9 a.m., which is Grace and Truth, which is basically this.
Yeah, what we do.
Right? We do this for an hour, 45 minutes. Then we allow live, real-time questions, Q&A right there.
Yeah.
That's some churches not doing.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a cutting-edge thing. I said that to say that what's building our church is relationships.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's time for us to dig right in and dig a foundation about what y'all talking about. And I just want to have a clear vision on how to, and I can promise you, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I can help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have a list.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
No, but the
that's
reason
really
why I'm
good.
saying that is because even outside of ministry, like I'm not even talking about
Life.
church
Just
anymore,
life.
just
Yeah.
life
Doing
in general.
life.
And it's like I know some amazing women,
Yeah.
like
I do too.
really some
Yeah.
great women who are wives through and through.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes, where are the men? Where are they and what are they doing? And why is it that no men are connected to men?
Yeah.
That are,
They don't have
that they can
nobody
vouch for?
Yeah.
Because you got some partners. I can't even tell you how many times I've talked to some of my guy friends like, oh, no, you can't talk to none of them.
No.
Wow.
Because they already know
They be
what
like,
kind
they
of
not
guys
good
they
enough
hang
for you.
around.
Have y'all ever
Right.
tried online dating?
No
good?
Well, see, Nia is in a relationship. I'm
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, we did it together.
Uh-huh.
It's so different.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so different.
Wow.
I really feel like because the stigma is gone,
Uh-huh.
the pool is just open.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's a
what
lot of
everybody's
stuff in there that
Gotcha.
They're saying the pool is
Yeah, it was
polluted.
still
Yeah,
kind of
it
something
is.
10 years
No,
ago.
it's still ain't nothing changed.
No, but I'm
It was
saying 10
polluted
years
then.
ago, you really didn't want to say out loud
That you were- yeah, it was a stigma
meeting,
to
you
it.
were meeting
Yeah.
somebody online.
Yeah.
Now it's just
That's the way to do
go.
it.
Yeah.
So everybody is on there, whether they want something or not.
Not right.
And most of them don't want anything.
Yeah.
And
They don't
then
want anything.
You, forgive me.
No, you're good.
You, when you're a woman of standard and not even, unnecessary standard, just a woman of caliber,
Right.
like you got some cooties.
Right,
You got
right.
something.
Yeah.
Not every guy is willing to rise to the occasion. There are
Very true.
some,
Mhm.
but not everyone is willing to rise. So then
They don't
you
have
find
to, though.
yourself, and they don't have to because the bar is below
Very
them,
low. Very
Wow.
low.
You
Well,
know,
I want to challenge y'all to do one thing though, like, and everybody else who's listening. I want to challenge you to change your words because words create worlds.
okay,
Right.
that's fair.
Yeah, seriously, because the truth of the matter is, faith is not denying that a problem does not exist. It's refusing to allow that problem to have influence over me.
Right.
Okay,
Right? So maybe things are not like they should be,
Yet.
but you
Yeah.
God's girl.
Yeah.
And because you are God's girl,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it is one who is mature. It is one who does have standards. It is one that is willing and ready to meet you, that he's going to allow you to challenge him, to teach him, and trust you to lead him.
Yeah.
okay,
All right.
I'll take that.
It's gonna
Receive it.
It's
Yeah.
gonna it's a lot of things are predicated on our confessions.
Yeah.
And we don't even realize it.
Right.
Like God framed the entire world by his spoken word. We made in his image and his likeness. So if we talk against ourselves unconsciously, like God wants you to win when everybody else losing.
Yeah.
But
And
it's based on what you say.
Mhm.
And some
Yeah.
of the things now, what has happened with culture, even statements like that can sound cliche. And that is for literally for the enemy to already put that deposit in your life. You already heard that before. I got to speak into the existence. Well, God already knows. But the truth of the matter is it really cliche? Even for you all to be able to birth what you did, what you have right now, you had to believe that it was possible for
Better
you.
believe
And
it.
so we've got to look at the areas of our lives. What do we really believe is possible for us? I was just someone that knew. I just knew. I'm a wife. I never bought into that thing that there's no good men out here. And I went through some bad. I mean, I met some bad, awful people. I did. God
I
knows I
got
did.
catfish too.
Oh, he did. No, he really did get catfished online. He met some people. Yeah,
Wow.
he did. I knew
We got
about
to
one
FaceTime
time. I realized it
tonight.
was one time. But no, I just, once again, it's possible. Whether there are 9 billion
good.
people on the
Yeah.
planet, maybe
Yeah.
it's not a Houstonian. Maybe there is somebody that is in another state
El Paso.
that has the ability, or that has the
But watch
or
this, but
Washington
they'll drive all the way
D.C.
down I-10 for you.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You never
Yeah.
know. I mean, like
Yeah.
you just don't know. So
Yeah,
I
for
just
sure.
want you to keep that belief in your heart that it's
Yeah.
possible for you. You just
Yeah.
said that you're dating, you've met somebody, and
I
so
have,
yeah, so
not
it's possible.
in Houston.
Yeah. Okay. See.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you might have to get out of Houston.
I
Yeah.
might. So, well, speaking of that, I wanted to get into the relationship phase. We talked a lot about dating. So for those in relationships or looking for a relationship, what advice do you have for those who are like, I'm marriage minded, we're together now, we want to make it to marriage? What questions do we need to ask? What things do we need to be talking about? How do we prepare for a healthy, whole marriage?
That's
I-
good.
One of years I was in therapy, and my therapist asked me at the time, if he never changes in this area that gets under your skin, can you live with that for the rest of your life?
Mm.
And when she asked me that, there was some areas that I'm like, I cannot live with this for the rest of my life. And then at that moment, she was just like, well, and this was when I was going through a divorce and I was trying to figure out what I needed to do, how do I needed to get out of, and I was about to enter back into my single phase. And she told me, she says, let me tell you at the last, she let me tell you, Tiffaney, she says, if you ever walk down this road again, if you look at a man and you don't think that you can be with him just as he is for who he is right now, you need to run away, because you will end up marrying him based on what you potentially see what he could be. And if he never becomes that, then at that point you will feel as though the relationship is a failure. But the truth of the matter is, it wasn't a failure. You failed to be honest with yourself about the person.
That's good.
And that stuck with me for so long. So I would tell that woman that is dating a man and she is hoping, or the man is dating a woman, they're thinking about marriage, work through the hard things now. Because when you say I do, it's for better or for worse, through sickness and in death. It's all of these things that we feel like will change once we get married. And the truth is, really, whatever it was that was there before, it's heightened times like 1,000 once you all get married. So I would really say that's one thing to look at. And then at that point, if you say, okay, well, yeah, I think I can accept him, I'm good with moving forward. We live by this thing, we call it the 3 B's. Marriage are to become, to build, and to bless. When you all become one, you all have to know, we realize, I'm not sure if you have heard, this is a lot of conversation on social media now. When you walk down the aisle, you're walking down to an altar. What happens at an altar? Death, sacrifice happens at an altar. The two of you all are dying to who you used to be so that you all can become one together and to build something new. So now that we're building something, what exactly are we building? We got to be building something that's bigger than us, because when it's bigger than us, then that means God is going to allow whatever we're building to be able to bless somebody. Like, you've got to have, it takes so much more than just love
It's
in
bigger
marriage.
It's bigger than love.
Just because you love somebody, just because you guys have great moments together, is so much deeper than that. Like, do you see yourself wanting to raise a family with him? How do you all see raising kids? What are the futures? What is, especially for a woman, like, what is the vision that he has for his life? Because if you're submitted to him, you're going to be following his lead. You got to start asking yourself the hard questions now.
If you didn't build anything in your single life, it's going to be hard for you to build something when somebody come into your life.
Yeah.
So the issue, I think, is a 2-part issue. Adding on to, she said it in what she said. She took 2 of my things I was going to say. She said so much.
2 have become
But-
one.
Okay.
But seriously, vision. What do you see?
Yeah.
When it comes to the family, what do you see?
Are you talking to men or women?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, because we living in a time now, a woman can get pregnant with vision, and then
Yeah.
the man can be the helper of the
Right.
vision,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, or the man had a vision and the woman helps. However, but the vision is going to be bigger than us being together.
Gotta be.
The vision is going to give us, something to look forward to build something and to build each other together. So when you builders, you ain't got time to be petty. When you builders, you ain't got time to be dysfunctional.
That's good.
When you builders, you ain't got no time to be toxic. When you builders, you don't have time to waste time. When you building something that is bigger than you, it takes a whole lot of immaturity and craziness out of the way,
Yeah.
right? So the question becomes, while you're with them, have you built something? If you hadn't, what do you want to build?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? While y'all are together, what do you see?
Mm-hmm.
Because something got to be greater than who y'all are and where y'all are.
Mm-hmm.
Something ahead. Yeah, because when God ready to move you to the next level, he give you something at the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't see it, you can't be it. Where there is no vision, the people perish
Yeah.
That's good.
in every area.
That's
There's a
good.
lot of times in relationships, it's a lot of idle time.
Yep.
And so we're together and we're having fun, we're having a good time. But outside of that, it's just idle time. And so if you're building something, we once had somebody ask us, what do you all do for conflict resolution? Have you all ever stayed mad at each other for a week? And we looked at them, we were like, we can't.
You ain't got time.
We
for
don't,
that.
we building
to do.
something. If
Yeah.
I decide to stop talking to him for a week, somewhere along the way, something's going to crack, something's going to fall down, something's going to break. We don't have time because we're building something. We don't have a lot of idle time in our relationship.
Marriage is for
The
the
mature. Yep.
I'm gonna say it one more time. Marriage is for the mature.
Yeah.
In the relationship, what you're looking to test is maturity.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
How
Mature
deep
and
is the maturity?
mature in emotions.
Yeah, can I handle
Yeah.
myself when I'm frustrated? Can I handle myself when I'm disappointed? Am I mature enough to be able to hold on to my emotions? And when I know without a shadow of a doubt, if I let them go right now, this whole thing is about to fall.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
We talk about the 4 seasons in a relationship. It's imperative that you get to see somebody throughout the 4 seasons. So you think
Very
about winter, fall, spring, summer. There are certain areas where you need to see this person in the good times. You need to see them in the bad times. You need to see them when they're happy. You need to see them when they have money, when they don't have money. You need to see all the different aspects of this person to really figure out who they are, because this is who you're going to be joining your life to.
Yeah, because when you get connected to somebody, that's spring, and everything gonna be smiling.
Yeah, green. Everything's
Everything gonna
blooming
be
and
blooming.
growing. And
Everything gonna be ready to jump up.
Absolutely.
Right? Then you come 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, whatever, it's summertime.
Yeah.
Y'all hot.
Yeah.
You hear me sizzling.
On fire.
Kicking it. Every joke funny.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything is this. Everything is that.
Yeah.
And yeah. Everybody know that, man, you glowing. She glowing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but fall is on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, fall is coming, and there are going to be some things that's going to happen that you're going to get disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see him doing that.
Yeah. Some
I ain't
things
see her
start dying.
acting like that.
Yeah.
So then you start shedding.
Yeah.
Fall is the shedding
Yeah.
season.
That's good.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And when some stuff starts shedding, the shedding is taking place because anytime the two becomes one, there is a collision between two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to take some of me off in order to go into her.
Yes,
She got to
sir.
take some of her off to come into me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But here come the hard part. Winter. This is when stuff dies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is when attitudes got to die. Ways got to die. Certain appetites. If you going to be with me, certain stuff in you have to die.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, there are some parts in us that we don't want to die.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
But in order for the marriage or the relationship to come alive,
Yeah, to
that
thrive.
part has to die.
Mhm.
If
Has
I'm
to.
selfish to a high degree and she recognize that you too selfish for me,
Right.
like it's all about you in every area,
Yeah.
no, you can go on about your business. If that part don't die, we die.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All this take time though.
Mhm.
And if you can date somebody, and I really think that you can date somebody for a year,
Yeah.
year and a half, and get to see them in all the seasons. I
Yeah.
think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think it is.
It's good.
Okay.
Y'all good?
What you
No,
think?
no, that's
I was
good.
just going to bring up a question. Especially in Christian relationships, we do see that people get married within 4 to 6 months,
We
4
see
to
it
8
too.
months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
see
know.
it.
We
And
see
we
it
say
too.
all the time, stop.
Yeah, we do.
Ooh,
I'm
okay.
being
They
very
don't.
honest, and they don't. Well,
Yeah.
I'm being very, because we've talked to so many couples for so long. Not telling you not to because y'all don't love each other, because we don't believe in marriage. We love it. We want y'all to get married. But just based on what we've seen, those that do it really, really quickly without knowing each other, they come in. You may have made it your first year. By year 2, it is hard in the marriage. It's really hard. So it's sometimes people, and you start thinking they want to do it in 4 to 6 months, probably because they're ready to be intimate. And I'm like, man, if you can just think about this moment of pleasure, if you can compare it to a lifetime
Yeah.
of toxicity that you may be entering into, it's just like, try to figure out something else. And I'm not just saying it just because we literally dated for 16 months before we got married. And I was 34 at the time. We got married when I was 36.
35.
Yeah, you were 35.
Mhm.
It's marriage is for the mature. And so it's just, we know, but we have couples that will come and be like, we're ready. And we'll tell them, well, we think you all should wait a little bit longer. We can do the whole premarital thing. But if they are just still adamant about it, people are going to do what they want
Yeah,
to,
they
what
gonna
they
do
want to
it.
do.
Yeah, don't
But
nobody care nothing but just because you call yourself you my pastor.
yeah.
You can't pastor my decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so people
And then this is
they
the
do
other
it.
part. There is always an exception to the rule. So
Of
there are
course, of
some
course.
people,
For sure.
Of course.
but this is
Every
the thing.
situation is not the same.
But we try to make the exception the rule. So just because, my mom and my daddy, they met each other, they knew each other for 3 weeks and they got married. Well, that was the exception. Maybe they're now married 25 years later. Just make sure that you understand that just work for one person in one season may not necessarily work for you. You just got to
Correct.
you got to be mature with your decisions.
Mhm. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So we've talked about dating. We've talked about relationships. We do want to talk about marriage.
Okay.
Though we're not married, we do have some listeners who are
Yeah.
married. So what kind of advice do you give to those who are married?
Yeah, we got a thing called the 7 core values of marriage.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't have core values, you don't have a constitution. Your marriage is an open door waiting on the enemy to come in to plant infectious seeds of toxicity. Right? Core value number 1. God is first. We put each other first. Kids is not first. The vision is not first. Your mama is not first.
Yeah, family.
My mama not first.
Mhm.
Your girlfriend not first. My homeboy not first. God is first. Here it comes, and we put each other first.
Right.
That's good.
Right?
Mhm.
If God is not first, the problem arises that when any type of problem come in, whatever is first, that has to have the wisdom, the strength, and the ability to fix whatever problem it is. But if God is first and the problem come in, God got all the wisdom, all the ability, and all the strength to be able to fix what's going on.
Yeah.
That's good.
So therefore, we believe that if you have core values and you have core values and, your priority are the core values, whatever begins to be broken, the core values got the ability to fix it.
And everybody's core values will be different. I want you
Yeah,
to think
absolutely.
about it. When you buy a house, you get a deed. If I was to go right now and to buy a car, I would sign a purchase agreement. I can't remember the contract for the car. Anytime you're making a long-term commitment to something, you are usually handed some type of manual to let you know what you're about to get yourself into. If you've ever seen a marriage license, it don't say a whole lot. It's just a sheet of paper. Our core values come in as our constitution for our marriage. Every couple that we even coach and work through, and they're going from dating to engagement to getting married, we write out core values. He and I have our own set of core values. Every couple has to have their own. And then when you start having a problem, before you come and talk to me, go back to your core values. Because the thing is, whatever you're having a problem with, you are probably going against what you said the Constitution was for your household. So doing the work where all the time I'll tell the couple, somebody I'm talking to, a married couple, and they're like, that first year is hard. And I was like, well, go back to your Constitution. Before it got hard, remember how you all loved each other. Before it got hard, remember why God put you all together and why you all decided to get married. You've got to have something. Of course, the Bible is an excellent source, But when you start literally, you and your spouse come together and can write out the plan for your marriage, it may not look like our marriage. Another one of our core values is that we go to bed and sleep in the same bed every night, no matter if we're arguing or not. So he can be mad. I don't care. He can sleep. He can be on the couch. But after a certain time, our core value is we go to bed together. That's our thing. You've got to figure out what's right. So in the event that he's done something to irritate me and I'm mad, I may want to have an attitude and roll over, but I know at the end of the day, when I roll over to the other side, my husband is going to be there.
Okay.
So we've got to have, and those are things that can soften it, where the next morning we wake up, I'm remembering, man, he kept his word. He kept the word of our core values. He kept the word of our Constitution. That builds trust even more in the relationship, because I know that now he's not going outside of the boundaries that we wrote together for our relationship. We've got to be able to have something to stand on when the season of fall or winter comes.
Because it's coming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, even with us, it's
Yeah,
coming.
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah, so as long as the earth remains, there will always be seed time and harvest, summer and winter.
Yes.
You know, like spring and fall.
Oh, yeah.
The seasons they coming in every dimension of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
Mhm.
might as well be prepared when they come, because you
Yeah.
can't
Love
stop
it.
them.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is good to
It's very
me.
good. It's very good.
Yeah.
So even in you all's marriage, I love that you all have those pillars that you all stand
Mhm.
on. How long did it take you all to get those standards? Was it something like when you first got married, y'all sat down and y'all were like, okay, this is it? Did y'all do that maybe year 1, year 2? Like, where did that kind of fall into place? Or has it been like a continual thing that you add on to?
I think that it's been, well, once again, not that we're older, but we did get married later in our 30s. And so prior to getting married, there were certain things that we knew that we really needed. But we got married and planted a church within that same time frame. And it was almost as though God graced us to do a lot of things in
Graced
year
us and
one.
grew us.
Yeah,
Amen.
he graced us, really fast, because he knew what the assignment was.
Absolutely.
But we did a lot of things in year one. But even as we grow and our things are shifting and changing, there are some times we have to go back and make amendments. There are some times we have to go. That's the beautiful part about a constitution. You can go back and amend it.
Come
You can
on.
go back and grow from it. But as long as we have that base, there are some things that we have to, we have to tweak, we have to change, because even though the two are becoming one, we're still growing individually.
Absolutely.
So, and I have one more question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
We hear often that people say marriage is hard,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody says, what do you mean? Like, what is hard about marriage?
They tell you to stay single.
Everybody,
no,
everybody don't have that story.
I know, and folks get mad at
And
us
then
about
people
this
get
too.
mad at,
They
and
do.
people start.
You know what
people
I'm
really
asking?
Yeah, we do
People say
understand.
it's hard, and I'm just like, okay, what is hard? And
Yeah.
they like Nia's point, they'll say stay single or just be single, and it's like, no, you want to be single,
Right.
You want that,
Right.
We not
You
saying,
hate who you marry,
We're not saying that people not gonna have friction,
Right.
Yeah.
because
It's natural.
certain things come up, right? Certain disagreements.
Yeah.
Disagreement don't mean dishonor.
Right.
Mm.
Disagreement
Uh-huh,
doesn't
that's
mean
good.
doesn't
Don't
mean
mean disrespect.
dysfunction. Yeah, it doesn't mean
Disagreement
disrespect.
That's
don't mean
good.
dysfunction.
Right.
Yeah.
Disagreement don't mean toxicity. You got
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Disagreement don't mean discouragement.
That's why we say you have to be mature emotionally.
Right? Absolutely. So we don't have that story
We don't.
as it pertains to marriage being hard.
Our
Okay, that's
first
good.
year,
We don't.
Amen.
That's good.
people get they
And folks get
they
irritated
get
when you say
irritated
that.
with this.
Of course.
We have a lady that we work with now. She helps us produce ideas for our show, and people like, we want some real applicable. People want to hear these trauma filled
Yeah.
stories and
Yeah.
show us. And I'm being honest. We
That all happened before each other.
yeah. I think that
You know what I'm saying? So when everything happens pre-time, you have the ability to fix everything before you come into it.
That's good.
Because I
That's
know
so
without a
good.
shadow of a doubt, I'm not about to have no chaos in my house.
Right.
I'm not about to have no confusion in my house.
Okay.
If I wanted all that, I could have stayed in the streets.
My God.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so
Yeah, we hear that like your first year of marriage is the hardest. That's not our story. Our
Yeah.
first year of marriage was fantastic. Like we
Amen.
really had a great first year of marriage. I can't really. I wish that I could give the viewers something.
Two people got to know this. I'm so
Go ahead.
sorry.
You go ahead,
Two
baby.
people
Go
got
ahead.
to know this. I cannot control her, but I can control me.
Mhm.
She cannot control me, but she can control her.
Right.
Now, if we know for a fact that we can control ourselves and we know we want peace, Oh, we ain't got to worry about no friction,
Yeah.
no chaos. Because the commonality and the common goal is strength, peace, happiness, joy, acceleration, breakthrough, favor, love,
Yeah.
traveling.
Mm-hmm.
What's up? Friendship,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Biggest problem in relationships and marriages. You got people been married 12 years, don't like each other.
Not friends, right?
Yeah.
They
Crazy.
don't like each other. They say they love each other, and they may love each other because of all the stuff they've done together. Maybe some love there. But it's a difference between loving and liking.
Right.
Yeah, we always talk a lot about the spiritual side of marriage, but there's like the soul, the part of you, your will, your emotions, your personality,
Yeah.
who you are.
Mhm.
I'm connected to him in my soul. So there are things where we just have a good time. Like we don't sit down. We don't sit like our Friday night date night is not consisted of us sitting down reading the Bible together. Like we go out and do
Right.
fun
Right,
things.
right.
We live
We
life.
live in life.
We have a really good time. I think people say that marriage is hard because when you have two people that are refusing to die, when you have two people that are refusing to shed those ways that they were when they were single, it makes it very, very hard when I'm stuck in my ways and this is who I am and I'm not willing to change. Love always makes a sacrifice. There has got to be so much sacrifice in the marriage that when he sees it's something with me that is maybe triggering me or making me angry, what level of sacrifice are you willing to say, okay, this is the thing that I can do to make this easier for my wife? We've got to look for ways to really find appreciation for our spouses and really be able, and that's the other part. I went through so much drama in my past that I am so grateful that my arguments with my husband now is like, why you didn't put the toilet seat down? Pick your shoes up. You know, like things like, man, you forgot to turn the alarm on. We're not arguing about things like who texting you or why you didn't come home last night. It's
Right.
because marriage is for the mature. So sometimes you have people that are saying it's so hard. It's because they are refusing to die to that old version of themselves. That single man can't be that married man. That
Yeah.
single woman can't be that wife. You got to die to the old version of yourself.
I'm so glad that you all
Mhm.
said this.
Yeah.
For me personally, I mean, I'm sure you share the same sentiment, but to hear you all say that that's not your story, that feels good to me
Yeah.
because I personally, I dislike it when I hear like, oh man, like, the first 5 years, it was just,
Wow.
I'm like, kind of stuff
Yeah,
y'all into,
right.
Yeah.
like it's just for someone who is marriage minded or who desires that companionship, that partnership. It is off-putting when I hear like, oh, marriage is so hard. I'm like, but what is hard about it? So to hear you all
Yeah.
say that y'all have been, I'm going to use the word intentional,
Yes.
but you all have been intentional about your marriage and your relationship. That's why you don't share that. So it feels good for me knowing that I want to be intentional.
Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
I want for my relationship. Not to say that certain things won't come, but it's different when you have somebody who's like-minded with you to
Right.
say, I'm in this with you just as much as you're in it with me.
Absolutely.
This is not cliche. It's so real. The God choice is everything.
Yeah.
The choice.
Right.
If the choice is motivated by me, then 9 times out of 10 it's 9 times
Yeah.
10. It will not be long before we get to fighting, acting crazy, whatever
Yeah.
the situation is. But when the choice is a God choice, he got to give you everything you need
The wisdom, the
in
knowledge.
order to make it
Yeah.
flow. Like,
The peace.
it is what it is. Like, we both made a God choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yo.
Yeah.
This conversation has been
Oh.
amazing. Absolutely amazing. We learned so much, and we know the viewers and listeners have learned a lot too. Before we get out of here, we want you to tell them where they can find you, about the book, about everything. Let them know.
I wrote a book entitled The Secret of the Soul Tie, What the Enemy Does Not Want You to Know About Ungodly Soul Ties. And the reason why I wrote the book is because we have a lot of people
Mhm.
who want to have a healthy marriage, but they're struggling with some ungodly and unhealthy soul ties. And I wrote it from a standpoint of soul ties is not just about your soul being tied to a person. Soul ties are bigger than that. When your mind is set on dysfunction or condemnation, then this means your soul is tied to the wrong thing. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to bring your infection into a relationship. So it may not be time for you to get in a relationship.
Mhm.
So therefore, there are a secret to the soul tie. And so before you bring yourself broken or dysfunctional into a relationship, I think it is wisdom for you to be healed and made whole before you go into it. That's the secret
good.
of the soul tie.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
for sure.
That's awesome.
You all can find us. Our
Yeah,
church is
absolutely.
here in Houston, Texas. It is Transforming Faith Christian Center. We have a 9 a.m. service And an 11 a.m. service.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, we have Wednesday night Bible study as well.
Absolutely. 9 a.m. is all things relationships, kind of like this. And
Yeah.
relationships in a godly way. And then 11, that's for the horizontal relationships. But then 11 a.m. is for the vertical relationship with
That's
Christ.
good.
And when you say horizontal and vertical, you got the cross in the middle.
I know
Yeah.
that's
And
right.
anything you do, you're gonna have to sacrifice. You're gonna have to
Mhm.
submit. It's gonna be a cross.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can get the fruits when you do it God's way.
I'll give them the
That's
address to the
awesome.
church.
Yeah, 12401 South Post Oak Road, Houston, Texas, 77045. That's where we are, Transforming Faith Christian Center. And our social medias, I'm at Pastor James TFCC on all platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
And I am at Tiffaney, Tiffaney with an EY, Tiffaney, Tiffaney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you all for
you.
having
Awesome
us.
auntie.
Y'all look too young to be calling yourselves aunties. Y'all
Everybody
do.
says that,
We
you
the
know.
new age
We're the new
aunties.
aunties.
I got you.
We don't get to be an auntie, you know, when you get on
I
up.
know.
You know, we aunties now.
That got the child. I know.
We
Isn't
literally
that crazy?
I'm actually an auntie.
Yeah,
I'm actually an auntie.
No, I am too. So I get it. I get it.
We're incredibly appreciative that you all
Thank y'all.
will come onto the show.
Yeah,
so thank
for
you
sure.
for accepting the
Having us.
invitation.
Yes.
I've been blessed.
I
I know
have
you've been
to.
blessed.
I have to.
I'm gonna go back and write some notes. I am
Hello.
not joking. This
Yeah.
was good to me. I
Yeah.
don't know. We might need a part two. I don't know. But thank you all so much for listening. We know that this episode was incredibly impactful for you. So we want to show love in the comments. Show love in the comments. We need to see what emoji. What emoji you looking for?
The praise hands.
Praise hands. Yes. When you made it all the way to the end, we need to see those praise hands. Listen, we appreciate you all so much. And this has been another episode of
Your Favorite Aunties Podcast.
Bye.